I have just wrapped up an exciting weekend in Berlin, and now, with my entire Ryanair emergency exit row all to myself, I'm headed to Rome. Once I landed in Rome, I buy a €14 ticket for the Leonardo Express to take me to the Roma Termini, which is Rome's main train station. I was a little confused upon buying this ticket as all of the validation machines were not working. I don't think they were really checking, so it's fine, but I did spend the 32-minute train ride being a little bit anxious about that. I booked 2 nights in the Hotel San Remo, which was just about a quarter of a mile away from the main train station. Overall, I enjoyed my stay here and it was relatively affordable. Here's a quick room tour. This is my tiny little room in Italy, in Rome. That's quite the view. After dropping off my backpack and settling in, I venture out for an evening of exploration. After about 15 minutes of walking, I find myself standing before the illuminated Colosseum. The sight of this massive, ancient structure, all lit up at night, was surreal. While I have a guided tour of the Colosseum and the Roman Forum scheduled for my last day here, tonight is open-ended, so let's just casually stroll through this exceptionally well-preserved area of ancient marvels and soak in the atmosphere. I have been traveling all day and I'm getting a bit tired, so now I'm headed back to the hotel. Along the way, I stopped at a small restaurant and picked up a pizza to go. I haven't really eaten all day, so I'm really looking forward to getting back to the room and eating this pizza and getting a good night's sleep because I have a lot of walking to do tomorrow. It is now Monday morning and I'm taking advantage of this amazing hotel breakfast, which was included in the price of the stay. I quickly finish up and hit the streets because I'm aiming to explore some of the iconic sites before the crowds get too dense. At around 9 a.m., I arrive at the Trevi Fountain, although it appears to be undergoing some sort of cleaning maintenance right now, so it's not really a fountain at the moment. Even with this, there is still quite a large crowd gathered around. And all that to say, this architectural structure is very impressive if there are all of these people standing around it, even when it's not in full operation. And in a little under a half-mile's walk, I'm at the base of the famous Spanish Steps. This renowned set of 135 elegant stone steps is named after the neighboring Spanish embassy, marking the steps' connection to the Spanish square. After about another 15 minutes of walking, I'm now at the Sant'Ignazio di Loyola church. And forgive my pronunciation of anything Italian in this entire video, honestly. The artwork in this building is absolutely stunning and elaborate. It's extremely intricate and it's a lot, but it is amazing. And free to enter, by the way. And then there's this line here in front of a horizontal mirror. I waited about 5 minutes in this line, and the wait was nothing, though, because I think I was just staring at the ceiling the whole time. And as you can hear, it's really quiet in here. When I got to the mirror, I was unsure of exactly what I was supposed to be doing here. I guess it's so that you can have a good look at the ceiling without having to strain your neck like I was just doing. Four more minutes of walking brings me to the Pantheon. It cost €5 to enter, and there were 2 separate lines. At the time of my visit, the left line was to pay with cash and the right line was to pay with card. Naturally, I just went to the line that was shorter. Like everything else in Rome, the architecture of this ancient building is amazingly well preserved. It dates back to the 2nd century AD. I got a gelato in this area, and then after enjoying for a while, I'll go around the corner over to the Piazza Navona, which is a lively historic square with fountains, beautiful buildings, and several cafes. From here, I continue walking toward Vatican City. I have several hours before my tour starts, so I'm just gonna casually stroll along and enjoy being here. This bridge in front of the courthouse gives a beautiful, picturesque view of St. Peter's Basilica and the Tiber River. As I continued walking in this area, I passed these little souvenir stands with lots of cheap souvenirs, artwork prints, postcards, and other stationery. I bought a few things here, seemed to be a lot cheaper than inside some of the souvenir stores around the city. A few minutes later, I'm in St. Peter's Square in the Vatican City. Or at least I think I am. It was a little challenging to distinguish the border between Italy and Vatican City. Either way, I was basically there. That's the line to get into the Basilica. Wait times can be as long as 2 to 3 hours. I won't be having to wait in that line because I'll be doing a guided tour of the Vatican Museums, the Sistine Chapel, and the Basilica, which start in an hour or so. While I wait for my tour, I'm gonna grab some lunch. I'm opting for some traditional carbonara at this little restaurant near the Vatican. It was pretty good and seemed to be pretty popular. And now I make my way over to the meeting point for the tour. I booked this tour with City Wonders through Viator, and it did not disappoint. The tour guide was very informative while also providing little bits of humor here and there. Also, it was so crowded here, so it was really great to be able to skip the lines. This tour lasted 3 hours, but it flew by.
It's only 800 people, 800 inhabitants, and most of them are priests and nuns, members of the Catholic Church, because this is what it is, with Rome. In the first century after Christ. Why? Because Rome was the richest place on earth. The people that get there. The white wall is St. Peter's Basilica, so now you see how close the two are standing. The shortcut in the middle is super efficient. It's close to the palace. Follow me here. This is the summer palace. Both the old one, the old summer palace. Down there. And this one, turn around for the summer. Because it's so fun to stay at the Vatican, but they did want to change bedrooms for the summer, for the winter. Like us, we like it when we go to a hotel. So this summer palace would come. And look how the tour guides are allowed to pass the chain. And now I'm transforming Hulk.
I know.
It would take over a day, maybe longer, to see everything in the Vatican museums, but our tour guide gave us just enough information to get all the highlights without being too overwhelmed with everything.
The founder of this place, my good friend Julius, always been Pope Julius. Remember him, the one that convinced Michelangelo not to God's facing the creation of Adam. It's not a surprise that Michelangelo came here and he copied a little. He did a little bit of copy-paste. Copy-paste. No judge, but many Renaissance artists.
This room here is essentially a large bathing room. And can you tell that it was modeled after the Pantheon? This basin is ancient and carved of a rare stone called porphyry, I think is how it's pronounced. It's said to have been originally from Nero's palace. What's also really interesting here is that this floor is extremely intricate mosaic work.
Have you watched the movie? Swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. A little bit of everything. Statues, urns, tables. Different. No more statues, no more pottery. Aren't you happy? This is the gallery of tapestry. And this is not funny. This is the only gallery where air conditioning was installed. I came back. I'm all alive. No, I was just kidding. Now turn around. Trompe-l'œil. It fools the eye. The French artist invented this. No, it makes you think that it's 3D. It makes you think that it's 3D, but it isn't. It isn't. No. Look at the ceiling. It's flat. No volume.
And now we have arrived at the Sistine Chapel. Technically, I don't think you're supposed to film in here, but everyone was. You also weren't supposed to talk in here, but you can hear that it's pretty loud. Either way, I was trying to be low-key about it, but it is incredible to be here in person in front of some of the most famous pieces of art. As I'm sure you know, these were done by Michelangelo, but parts were also done by Botticelli, which I did not know. Now we're heading out into St. Peter's Basilica. I think this was probably the most interesting part of the tour for me. Just the pure size alone of this place is insane. For reference, these tiny little letters are each around 6 feet tall. Upon just simply looking at them, I would have thought they were 2, maybe 3 feet.
You have to be a Catholic, a good one, huh? Not divorced. Huh? You have to respect the rules of the club. Huh? You already know that. You send an email, you wait for a year, not to...
This beautiful painting here is actually another mosaic, and I would have had no idea if the tour guide had not pointed it out.
You wouldn't even have this. No. And they make the mosaic copies. And why mosaic? Because the mosaic is on the wall, orange window. In the middle of the orange window, the Holy Spirit, the dove, the little bird. It is 2 meters wide, 6 feet.
Another example of the scale of this place. That dove is 6 feet wide.
It is precious enough. It is alabaster, which is a special kind of marble from Voltaire. Nice town.
E la giustizia dalla generosità dei retti di cuore, perché gli umili riprendano coraggio e si manifesti la tua salvezza tra le genti.
And from there you start the walking, 330 steps to get to the top TV dome. So if you want to do the dome climbing, you have to buy the tickets at the entrance of the Basilica on the right.
What I think is the most interesting thing to me about this place is that it's believed to be the burial site of the Apostle Peter, who, as you may know, is essentially the key figure in the establishment of the church and the spreading of the gospel of Jesus. Peter met his martyrdom in Rome during the reign of Nero. Peter was crucified upside down upon his own request, as he believed himself unworthy to be crucified in the same manner as Jesus. The high altar here is directly above the supposed tomb of Peter. The basilica itself, which was built over centuries, stands as a monumental tribute to Peter. This altar is also the one from which the Pope gives Mass on special occasions and holidays. I'm now done with my tour. For some reason, these people brought barking dogs. As if there weren't already enough barking dogs here. Everyone's feet are very tired from all the walking. Sorry, that was just an absolutely terrible joke. Anyways, here's one last look before I start walking back towards my hotel, which was about an hour walk. Normally, I think I would have tried for public transport, but I really did not mind to walk at all through this incredible city. Back near my hotel, I'm going to a sit-down restaurant called Amedeo. This was initially a bit uncomfortable for me as a solo traveler, but I saw several other people eating alone here, so that made me feel better. I had some pasta, a lot of bread, a glass of wine, sparkling water, and of course tiramisu, all for under €30. On the last day, I got a light breakfast because I was still kind of full from the day before, and then I checked out of the hotel. I did leave my luggage in the hotel locker/storage room even after I checked out because I'm going on another 3-hour tour. Today, that tour is of the Colosseum and Roman Forum. I also booked this tour through Viator, but the tour company today is different. It is Crown Tours. I think both tour companies seemed equally reputable, although I'll be honest, my experience yesterday was a lot better. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Nothing terrible. I had a great time today, just a little bit frustrating. Like I said, I'll talk about that later. For now, let's enjoy the Colosseum. Our tour guide got us in, we skipped the line, and now we're entering the Colosseum at the arena level, just like the gladiators. We learned about how even though these gladiators were very well invested in for training purposes, they were essentially slaves. They were primed to engage in brutal fights, sometimes to the death, both with other gladiators and wild animals. Crowds would come over here to spectate, and here's a reconstruction of what some of that seating would have looked like. The different levels of seating were basically divided up amongst the different class systems. The lower the class, the higher up in the amphitheater you were. This elevator is where they would send up animals to fight, or at least a reconstruction of that. You can see up at the top the remains of the steps to get to the nosebleeds. Honestly, it kind of makes me think of Neyland Stadium in here.
So there you have actually the VIP seats that we were there. We have all those the Latin names are the real names of the sectors. This was the middle class seats where we are, and this was the nosebleed seats up there.
These are the remains of some of the wild animals that were used. There was graffiti even back in ancient times. These are depicting some of the crowd's favorite competitors. And now we're getting a higher level look at the inside of the arena. After we finished the Colosseum tour, we're now heading over to the Palatine Hill and the Roman Forum. Here, we're viewing the ruins of what was once a very large, extravagant palace. We can see the remains of the flooring and the base of the structural columns all over the place.
When this place was just like the Colosseum, open to the was a public park. You could go in there at night, so you could come with your little sock. That's a recent restoration. They did have This is the restaurant, and this is they found the heating system. So that's a high story.
It is crazy to imagine what this place would have looked like in full build. I'll be honest though, this is where I'm starting to get a little bit distracted. It's now already 11:50 a.m. and the tour was supposed to be concluded by 12. And we're just standing around here in this exact spot for easily 10 to 15 minutes. Which would have been nice if I had all day. This is an amazing view, but I needed to get my things and get to the airport because I had an early afternoon flight to catch. When I asked the tour guide how much longer because I gotta go get to the airport, she said, 15 minutes or so. And I'm looking down at the massive expanse of the Roman Forum thinking there is no way we're gonna get down there, let alone get through it in the next 15 minutes, but I'll spare it, we'll see. So I stick around for another 15 minutes and of course we were nowhere near done. So I said to the tour guide, hey, I gotta go, I gotta leave. And she goes, we're not even close to being done. You gotta stay, you gotta see it. You must be so hungry. Are you ready for lunch? I can recommend you some amazing places. But in my head, I'm like, no, lady, I'm leaving Italy. I don't even know when I would be back to try your recommendations. So I did end up leaving before we really got to walk through this part, which was sad. But I look back now and it's sort of funny and just a nod to the classic laid back and non-punctual culture of the Italians. Other than that, nothing against this tour guide. She was very nice and very informative. To add to the stress, after I pick up my bags, I have to buy this train ticket. And what do you know? The machines were not functioning properly at all, and neither was the online checkout. I tried 4 different credit cards and cash, and nothing worked until my 3rd attempt with my Amex randomly transacted. At the end of the day, I did make it to the airport, I made it through security, and I made it on my plane in time. But you just never know. Now that all that's over, it's now time to sit back, relax, and enjoy my flight over to the next destination, which is Switzerland.